Hi, everyone. My name is Tim Ski, and I recently just founded a company called TaskFit.io that helps companies automate and track their AI. And today, I want to talk to you about the world of infrastructure that you live in and where infrastructure is going. And so what we do today is we define, declare, we set these expectations, we know these throughputs of our systems. We know this very well because we typically just deploy web services. And over the last 20 years of innovation, we've got great things that came out of this from internet infrastructure, like advancements in distributed computing, the cloud, and many more. As we go to these highly intelligent systems, now you have to take into account high throughput data and all these other things. And we had a lot of great friends along the way. I know what you're thinking. I just set up my awesome pipeline, and I just got Kubernetes working, and all these other things. The real question is, do you still need those things in a high throughput, intelligent infrastructure to support artificial intelligence? Yes and no. As these new systems are getting stood up and onboarded, there's a lot of chaos. But I'll tell you what, just like you did in traditional infrastructure, in the Infrastructure 2.0 era, you're gonna handhold it until you get to production, and then you're gonna automate. But it's gonna be very hard because these are a lot of changing components for you than you would in any other thing. But like these new challenges and problems come new and exciting open source tools, frameworks, and platforms like prediction serving platforms like Clipper, grid search on Dask, and even sending up deep learning environments. But as you know, working with open source requires a lot of configuration, a lot of glue, and just a lot of hand-holding getting into production from an operational perspective. And so, like you're familiar with traditional applications, you have your load balancer, you might have a rules engine or a task manager that does a lot of worker stuff behind the scenes, and a database. This is what you're used to. Sometimes you'll have a traditional linear model, but as we go to online predictions, you have to do smart routing, a model abstraction layer, different kinds of caching and bashing that you're not used to today. And so the reality is that these applications are getting smarter, the infrastructure is getting harder, and you're gonna have to be able to do a lot of things with a little bit of tooling, because right now in the ecosystem, there's not a lot for Infrastructure 3.0 type of systems. But how do you add value to your customers and audience? If your audience is machine learning engineers, they're good at a set of things like data collection, building models, and picking the right algorithms. As DevOps engineers, you have a wider range of skills, and you can start adding tremendous value. These seem like rebranded terms that you're already used to, but I guarantee you they are very different than what you're used to today. And so machine learning engineers are expected to do everything I just talked about, but in reality, they're only be able to do 50% of what I just said. And so there's just tremendous edge cases and use cases that you can help optimize and create efficiencies like you have been. And some of those things is your storage engine and your file systems. If you have large amounts of data over a network file system and you're doing deep learning, you want to cache that locally on your disk. Use something like Cache Files D. And speaking of cache, you have your typical front-loading predictions via Redis, or you have in the background, you can cache your computational time based on your data size, or it could be even caching your data frames with an index of time series data. There's a lot of use cases. Now, monitoring these systems are different than what you're traditionally used to. Now you have to monitor both the environment, the model performance, and then, of course, being able to catch refits and do refits automatically live. And refits can happen as often as hours, days, or weeks, depending on these types of models, and if you have a lot of historical data or the types of products. And so this happens very, very fast, and it has to happen automatically. And these are different types of infrastructure components you need to support and manage. If you like everything that you heard here today, this week I open sourced a deep learning platform that helps people get started deploying this infrastructure. Thanks.